Welcome back to Project Free Bronco, Episode 3. Today we are looking at the back window and finding all the problems.
So what do we got? Problem 1.
Problem number 1. The guides that bolt onto here are missing. Oh no. And problem 2, the motor is not working on either switch. Big problems.
Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get down in here, and you can see the motor right there. Right here. And these bolts, there's 3 bolts back there behind it. Those are a 5/16. So we're going to take those off and get the motor out of here. One thing you'll want to make sure, the regulator here is spring loaded. So I didn't have to worry about it because our window wasn't connected to the regulator anyway, since it's missing the guides. But if your window is connected to the regulator and you take the motor off of there, it very well may slam shut, and you can see that it comes and hits that piece of metal there is what actually stops it. My spring's pretty weak too, or rusted, one of the two, because mine barely even closes. But that's something to watch for. If you have your hands in there, you take out the last bolt for the motor and move that motor out. There's nothing holding this in place anymore. So those springs, it can slam shut and get your fingers in there. So watch out for that.
We got the motor out. Now we're gonna bench test it. We're gonna use our other Bronco to test this motor.
Alright, so what we've done here to test this motor, we're just going to hardwire straight to it. So I've just taken some wire with alligator clips on it, hooked the red one up to the positive, the black one up to the negative. It really doesn't matter on this. If you power it one way, it's going to spin one way. If you power it the other way, it's going to spin in reverse. So just going straight to the plug here. Some videos are going to tell you that you need to cut the wires and splice in and stuff like that. You don't need to do that. You can test it at the plug. So you can see I'm taking one alligator clip and just shoving it down in there. I'm going to take the other alligator clip and make contact to the other side. The motor's running, but it's not spinning. So the motor itself is good. So we're going to move on to the next fix, which is going to be to show you guys how to fix this when your motor is working, but the gear itself is not spinning. Alright, so we got a new motor. We're going to get the parts to rebuild the motor because ours was completely broken, all the plastic gears and everything. But they were on back order, so we just went ahead and got a new motor at O'Reilly. And I'll put a link to that below. So trying to install it here, we're having trouble getting the 3 holes to line up. So just went ahead and pulled the whole regulator to this big hole to give us a bigger area to work with. So it's just these 4 bolts. There's one here, one here. You got to pull that out of the way to get to it. One here through that hole, and one here. And they're pretty easy to access with the regulator in place. So since we were having trouble getting our holes to line up, and what it ended up being was the gear on the motor wasn't linking up with the gear on the regulator. So once we kind of got the motor in place, we were able to pull this back a little bit, and it clicked in place and then cinch it up. So now we're going to put it back in there and run the wiring and see if everything works.
Yeah.
Alright, so we got the new motor hooked up. We don't have our slides in there for the window to actually go up and down yet, but we kind of want to see if our regulator is at least going to move. So you can't do it with the tailgate down unless you have to trick it into thinking that the tailgate's closed. By latching these on both sides. Oh, that one doesn't want to go. There we go. Now we're going to try it with the key out here. Alright, oh, there we go. So it is working off the key. Let's try the other direction. Alright, it only wants to work one direction here. Okay, that's a start though. Let's see if it'll work from the dash. Cool. So once we get those new slides put on, which I'll show you here, we got these at Bronco Graveyard, which I'll also do a link to. But they're all right. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to take off this guide plate here off of these new pieces that we got, because as you can see, our window still has that whole big metal piece on there. It's still got the little bushings around it and everything else. There's really no reason to take that off. There's nothing wrong with it. So to be easier, instead of taking that off and putting this one on, we are just going to, we've already done this side. We're just going to take the two nuts off of here that hold these little guide plates onto here. Set that aside. I'm going to come over here. A little tough to see on this side. Maybe we should have videotaped the other side. But put them up through those holes and put the nuts back on, tighten them down, and then we'll be good to line the guides back up on the regulator with these window slides.
Let's see if this back window goes up. There it goes. Voila! We've got a back window up on this Bronco.
Alright, we went ahead and gave the Bronco a quick pressure wash too to get through the years of layers of mold and mildew and pollen and dirt and everything else. So check that out here. It turned out pretty good with just pressure wash, no scrubbing or anything like that. So just kind of a first step to get through the majority of that dirt.